Why have I stopped building Divine Sunder on Fiora? Or why have I stopped building Triforce? This is a question that I'm getting asked over and over and over again. So what is my new favorite mythic? It's Goredrinker, and I want to talk about why it's my favorite. First and foremost, when we talk about Goredrinker, it's super popular over in China. It's built by all of the best Fiora players over there. You know, you got JJ King, 14 Fiora, they love it. People talk about it a lot. They basically permanently build it even if it doesn't really fit the game. And why is that? I really wanted to find out because obviously I have, you know, gone through my Divine phase, my Triforce phase, my Stridebreaker phase. It was a matter of time before we got back to Goredrinker phase. So Goredrinker's obviously been getting slowly buffed and it's getting back into the meta because it got completely gutted, you know, back in what was it, season 10 or season 11 when they added the items. Goredrinker was obviously the most OP item and everybody was building it, so they got rid of Goredrinker. And Riot has even mentioned before that they don't like the item in their game. They think that the item is unhealthy for the game. When mythics get removed, I'm sure they're probably going to remove Goredrinker. I think that they probably will because they just don't like it. But it's now in a really good spot where it's actually really powerful. After testing it out with the Gore build, the Shojin build, we've got a really nice build here. And what does Goredrinker do? Goredrinker is more like the jack of all trades when it comes to mythics. When we look at the mythics, we see Triforce, and that's like the king of split pushing for Fiora. We see Divine, that's the king of poke and survivability. And then Stride is the king of damage. It's the best thing for burst damage, and you basically play Assassin Fiora. So what does Goredrinker bring to the table? We kind of turn this into three categories when we're talking about the game and talking about Fiora. We look at split pushing, we look at team fighting, and we look at dueling. And dueling means like 1v1, 1v2, whatever it may be. And what does Goredrinker do in all these categories? It's above average. It's above average in all three categories. It does a decent job at split pushing. I mean, if we were to rank it off the scale, I'd say it's about an A. I don't think it's an S tier. Dueling, I'd say it's an A as well. And then team fighting, it really depends if you can get those lucky vitals. If you got in the middle and you got like 3 people and all the vitals are faced towards you and you get a huge active on the whip, then it could be S tier, but it's more like A tier as well. So this thing is just above average in everything that we want to do on Fiora. So, and then keep in mind, obviously with the active, with the whip bonus, we're able to proc vitals, we get more damage, faster ults, and not to mention you've got the survivability of burst when you're low HP. So if you have 3 people around you and you're low HP, the lower you are, the more you heal. So you proc it on 3 enemies, you're back to like half HP and you get a second chance at that fight. And what does that mean, right? So we can take bad trades. Let's say we lose a trade, we turn around, we stall the fight out a bit, we go back to a minion wave, we hit the minions a bit and we get our HP back and then we go back in. Let's say we're having a dragon fight. I go in, I make an engage, I flash in, I get a kill real quick on somebody and then I have to escape because I'm low HP. Well, now I can go back to mid lane or bot lane or wherever I'm at, and I can go kill the minion wave, push the wave out a bit, and then get right back into the fight if I don't have teleport. I can get a little bit of HP back and then be useful, wait on that parry timer, and then I'm right back in the fight. And then we pair this with Spear of Shojin third, and then we have the Masterpiece. That's where the build becomes really insane. That's where the build becomes really insane because now we have the healing, we've got the CDR from Spear of Shojin, we've got massive HP because Spear of Shojin has insane HP on it, and then we got big damage, low cooldown on Q and E, and you're basically like an untouchable fighter. You're like impossible to catch. It's really hard for enemy to actually get the kill on you, basically. And this build, at this point, it's truly going to test your limits and push the boundaries on Fiora. And personally, I see why the Challenger players love it so much. You have a lot more flexibility. It's very creative. It's innovative. There's a lot of skill expression when you're going Goredrinker. There's a lot that you can do, and you really get to see how good you are as a Fiora player when you run this. Obviously, let me just say that this doesn't mean that Triforce is bad. It doesn't mean that Divine is bad, and it doesn't mean that Stridebreaker is bad either. All I'm saying is that it's extremely viable. Goredrinker is actually very good right now. Goredrinker is going to save you in those bad situations with the heal. It's also going to set you up for some flashy plays with the whip active and proc and vitals, especially into multiple melees when you can get multiple procs off. But even not, like, you can still build it and it's just fine. It's just a good time because, you know, obviously everybody's asking me why I'm not building Divine. Should they still build Divine? And yes, you can still build Divine. Yes, you can still build Triforce. Yes, you can build Stridebreaker. Yes, you can do all those things. Me personally, I'm just loving the Goredrinker build right now. But even if we look at the stats here, Divine is still one of the most sought after items. It's bought 60% of the time, but it has a 52% win rate. Anything above 50% is great. Goredrinker does have a 53, but it's only 9%. Stridebreaker 55 at 3%. Triforce 55 at 20%. So it's like all these items are still great. But now let's look at specifically just one tricks here. And then we start to see a little bit of a difference, right? Now look at these win rates here. Divine Sunder is still great. 55% win rate. It's still amazing. You can still build it. It's awesome. But when we look at this Goredrinker, that win rate goes up incredibly. And I think that comes from the whip active. I think the whip active is what makes it so much fun for me. The one tricks that play Fiora, they want the whip active because it just allows for more skill expression. It's just more exciting and fun to play. Obviously, the play style with Divine is a little bit boring. I mean, you kind of just, you poke down your enemy and then you wait until they're low enough to go for the all-in, right? Because you're not going to have Conquer. You're going to be running Grasp with the Divine. And it's just a way more slower play style. And it's kind of just snooze. It's kind of snooze fest, right? Triforce is still really great for split pushing, but it really lacks in the team fight aspect. So to team fight with Triforce, you got to be really careful because if you get CC'd at all, you're just kind of done for, right? You do get the extra movement speed, but if you get caught, you're caught. But when it comes down to these two items, this is where I feel like one tricks, they love them the most. And you know, I did go through my Stridebreaker phase and I loved it because of the whip. And now I'm going through my Goredrinker phase and I think that it's incredible. And I think as you get more into playing Fiora, I think that it's very highly recommended to check out the items with the whip actives because there's so much you can do when it comes down to proc and vitals, staying alive, making some really flashy plays, 1v2s. You know, you got two people that are on you and they got two vitals facing towards you. You proc your whip, you hit two vitals at once. Oh, dude, it feels so great. It feels so great. So now we've got the 3-item power spike that we're talking about, right? So this is what I love about it. Look at our HP for one. We've got over 3k HP. We got 300 attack damage. We got nice ability haste, 42%. And now we can just check out our Q and E timers here where they're basically never on cooldown. It's so awesome. So I can, and keep in mind, I don't have this, I don't have the cooldown reduction thing on as we're watching this. At this point, every time I'm auto attacking like this, I'm getting it back. So I almost always have my Q and E up because of the extra CDR and then the passive that Shojin gives us as well. So I can fight so heavily, not to mention that the ability haste is reducing the timer on my Goredrinker as well. So I have a 9-second cooldown on Goredrinker. So I've got Goredrinker, I got my Q. I can just basically be a menace and I'm queuing all the time. I can just queue down the line whenever I hit something. Whenever I hit something, it's lower. So I just never really have to stop queuing. Q. You're just a menace. You're a menace. You're impossible to catch. It's crazy. This build is so much fun. Now, obviously, it's restoring 60 plus 8% of missing max health here. And when the lower you are, the better the heal is. So if we're here and I got 4 people that are on top of me, I got a bunch of melees on enemy team and I'm really low, I need a second chance. There's my second chance. There's my second chance. And this works really well, you know, in Baron fights, Dragon fights. If I can queue in, hit that, and then I can work my way around the fight much better. So, and that is why I love Goredrinker so much. Seriously, guys, you got to give it a shot. I think it's so much fun. I think a lot of people that are, you know, avid Fiora enjoyers who play her a lot, I think that the Divine build just gets a little boring sometimes, and we want to step out of that comfort zone and try something new. So hopefully this video helps you out and makes you want to try out Goredrinker. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. As always, peace out. Love you. Bye-bye, guys.